All right, welcome to the show. Welcome to the Space Limited Accomplishments interval. I'm Lance Ash, and this is Bonnie Ash.
Hello.
And right before we left the house, I got to thinking about something. I didn't have time to write it down, but I need to remember to look up the lyrics to the Flintstones show, because there's something I could never figure out in the lyrics. And so anyway, I got to thinking about that because right before we left, I checked the BBC News site, and there's a woman in, I think they said the Hollywood area, I think they said, I can't remember where they said, who owns the so-called Flintstones house. And she's illegally put up Flintstone sculptures in her backyard, and that's the issue. They want the sculptures to come down. But the house itself looks nothing like any of the architecture on the show, but it is a gaudy, awful, horrible, ugly thing. And she's posing at the back door, and I just thought my first thought was some people have no taste. And then I thought, my immediate thought after that was, oh, I'm sure John Waters would rush in to defend her. You know, she's living her life the way she wants, and who are you to say?
Twice in the past week, I have come across women, and my response was, did you roll out of bed and step right into a John Waters role? I could not believe how gaudy their attire was. There was this woman who was in a jumpsuit that was skin tight, and of course she is 250, 300 pounds, and it's skin tight, but it isn't just that it's a skin tight suit. No, she's got on this garish green and white striped animal print thing on top of it. And then she's got layers of makeup and this hideous wig of this pink color. And I was like, oh my God. And I saw another woman today look like she stepped right out of a John Waters film. It was horrible.
The people at work, most of the people at work that wear the inappropriate clothing, meaning the skin tight, essentially pantyhose.
Yeah.
They are, to a person, 100 pounds overweight each, with rolls of ice cream fat spilling out over the top of these leggings. And
worse, they've got cottage cheese butt, camel toes, and lumps underneath the things. You see every nook and cranny.
It was 2 months ago that they had enough, and they passed down this directive from on high. We'll have no more of this. If you insist on wearing these leggings, you must wear a shirt that covers up your ass. And I said out loud, they're not going to enforce it. Nothing's going to be done. And of course, nothing has been done. I announced on last week's show that we were going to the theme for this episode was going to be memories of school days, specifically negative ones. And I'll start off by saying many years ago, okay, the guy who founded the school we went to kept his first name a secret. He went by his middle name, which I do too, but that's not my choice. My parents did that. Right, that's right.
It was Alwyn.
Yes, Alwyn, and
which was Diego's mom's name.
Yeah, well, in German, he's of Austrian descent, I believe, and it would be pronounced Alvin or Alvin in English, anglicized. But the point is, do you remember Wayne Whitaker?
Vaguely.
He had seen his name written on the flyleaf of his Bible, and he knew the secret. But the man wouldn't tell anybody else. He'd go, oh, some people think they know what my name is, but they don't know it's a secret. Well, I looked it up, and it's online. And I had confirmation finally. But anyway,
Oh, what name did he go by, dear?
He went by Buell. B-U-H-L. And an interesting note to tie all this in with his Austrian heritage, the theme song for the school, not the fight song, but the official anthem for the school, which he wrote the lyrics to, he used the music to Edelweiss, which I want to point out was the official anthem of Nazi Germany. Not Deutschland über alles, but Edelweiss.
I think the entire name actually was all Welsh.
No, it's German. It's German in origin. I'm pretty sure. Maybe I'm wrong, but I mean, they came from Pennsylvania, both of them. He and his wife both. But first anecdote is this. I wanted to get on the yearbook committee.
I wanted to get off the yearbook committee.
How many years were you on it?
I want to say just one, maybe two.
Which awful cover were you responsible for?
I didn't do it. Tanya did it. It was the crowns.
The crowns, I remember that, yeah. Those were horrible, hand-drawn.
Yeah. And then I think the next year it was like brown and something, it kind of like a Germanic kind of feel to it.
They had a history, a legacy of horrible yearbook covers.
Terrible.
When I graduated, my graduation year, our yearbook covers were green, and the school colors were purple and gold. And that makes no sense. Anyway, so I wanted to get on the yearbook committee, and the founder's daughter was the yearbook head, the coordinator or whatever. And so somehow I got the word across to her that I wanted to join, and she goes, well, I'll look into it. I'll look into it. So she comes up to me a couple of days later, and she says, okay, I spoke to your English teacher, and she says you've got a C- or something average, and I just can't have somebody on the yearbook committee who's not good in English. Any response? Am I good at English? Do I have skills with writing and so forth?
Yes.
I've written over 15 novels, so they can suck it. Anyway, so I didn't get to get on the yearbook committee, which I thought would be fun, but of course would have turned out to be a huge erosion of my free time.
Tanya and I deliberately turned pictures around so that people were making stupid looks at each other on the pages.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Like guys looking up at girls' skirts and things like that.
Are they having a fair over there?
Some bullshit Christian nonsense.
Oh my goodness. I just barely got all my sleep. Trash on the side of the road. Next anecdote. Trying to think. Oh, I know one. I've probably mentioned all these already on the show. We've done this will be the 38th episode, I believe, or 39th.
Me and you?
Yeah,
Jesus.
I know.
I thought our marriage was long.
I've been married longer than I wasn't married. Oh my God. There were so many rich kids that went to that school who just did not care.
Rich kids? I don't know anybody there that was rich.
Okay. Let me rephrase that. Kids whose parents had money in comparison to my parents. How about that?
That might be a more accurate statement, because I knew all the rich kids that went to the academy. And they wouldn't have dared send their kids to that god-awful school.
Well, anyway, these kids just didn't care, and it was obvious. They just nodded their head and smiled and played along with like good little kids, but then they went and drank and fucked like everybody else. I didn't drink or fuck though, not till I got out of school. Oh, I'll tell you something. They were rabid on the subject of rock and roll. They were just what's the word I'm looking for? Exercised about it. And they would bring in special preachers, pay them money, put them up at a hotel or probably their house to give week-long lectures on why rock and roll was evil. And this one guy named Steve Piggott, he's still around somewhere. So he's going to give his week-long series of lectures. And the day the lectures were going to start, the school was plastered with these posters that said sold out. And he instructed all the teachers, don't tell them what it means. Don't say anything about it. If the kids ask, say, you'll find out. You'll find out at the lecture. You'll find out. So it turns out you're supposed to be sold out for Jesus. Meaning essentially, and it took me years to figure this out, meaning you're supposed to live your entire life for Jesus. So you're supposed to ask yourself, am I doing this for Jesus? How does this glorify Jesus?
How does wiping your ass glorify Jesus, Lance?
You're supposed to do it in a way that would glorify. You're supposed to think about Him while you're cleaning your anal parts.
And wear your hair shirt doing it. Jesus Christ.
I know. And the thing is, I didn't figure this out until years later when I started to read up on the Hare Krishna movement, where you're supposed to think about Krishna all day long, all the time. But anyway, so the kids, I didn't listen to, I don't know what I listened to at the time, but I certainly didn't listen to modern pop, modern rock. I might have started listening to Elvis at that point, but anyway, so these kids would ask him questions and say, well, what's wrong with Lionel Richie? What's wrong with this? What's wrong with that? And his response was always,
I have no idea.
What's right with it? What's right with it, Bonnie? In what way does it,
Do you think I really listened to those guys? No.
Well, what else were you going to do? My sister hated that guy because he said one of the reasons you shouldn't listen to rock and roll is because your memories of listening to it, when you hear it later, you'll associate the memories you had at the time with it. So if you're at one of those bad kind of parties and they're playing a certain song, then 20 years later when you hear the song, you'll think about it. And I can prove that to you by associating a visual image with something innocuous. And he played the Pink Panther theme song, and he did this little dance, and he said, now whenever you hear that song, you'll have to think about me doing that dance. And my sister's 10 years later, she goes, I hate him because now every time I hear that thing, I think of him doing that stupid little dance.
Why couldn't you guys just ignore the asshole? I did.
Well, what are you going to do other than sit there and doodle in your Bible or whatever?
Yeah, exactly.
It took me a long time after I became an atheist to get up the nerve to throw my Bible away, send it to the landfill, which I finally did. I felt guilty because that was my big boy Bible. My mother spent my mother spent $60 on the official leather-bound Schofield Reference Bible.
Oh, good God.
With the plastic tabs that you could insert, so that you could find the book of the Bible you're looking for quicker.
Oh, good God.
The Schofield Reference Bible is the official Bible of the evangelical movement.
But they didn't have enough money to take you to see movies and other things.
Right. Oh my God. Schofield was a preacher back in the 20s or something, and he had done his own personal work on the Bible to cross-reference verses written 1,000 years apart to tie the whole thing together to prove premillennial rapture and all this other crap and what's the word I'm looking for? Predispensationalism or whatever. There's a word that they use to explain why miracles happened at a certain time in history, but not now. You know, it's something like dispensations. There's certain dispensations, and
sounds papal to me.
Any kind of inconsistency that you can bring up. Well, we have an explanation that we worked up, through long hours sitting in the back room.
Bullshitting.
Yeah. Well, what? I got it. What if? This? Sounds good to me. We asked a teacher one time, well, what about some guy who's raised on a desert island and he never has any contact with missionaries or the gospel or any official indoctrination with Christian theology or whatever? Now, how is he going to go to heaven? And the teacher's response was, well, he will look around him at the beauty of nature and he'll realize it must have been created by a God.
Now, you need to understand that these are the same idiots who said that the Catholics couldn't get to heaven because they didn't say the special prayer inviting Jesus into their hearts. So what about the Islander? What about that special prayer? They were so full of shit.
Yeah. The preacher, well, one of the preachers we had at my hometown church growing up, his son went to the academy, I believe. And he, along with his father, couldn't stand Buell because they felt he was just too hardline and too anti-Catholic, too racist, and all this other stuff.
Highly racist, as in the the Tower of Babel was God's way of separating the races.
All the races were created at that point, even though that's not actually mentioned in the Bible, but it can be inferred.
It meant that you were not supposed to associate, marry, date, etc., those who were not in your same group.
Every time they would come back from one of their trips, every other year, every even-numbered grade went on a trip. And the trips got bigger and more elaborate every year until senior year you went to Europe. And when they would get back from these trips, they would have a little talk about what we did and what we saw and how it went and everything. And the woman, the wife of the guy who started the school, I think it was the New York trip, which would have been 10th grade. She's talking about in the hotel, and they say funny anecdotes about stuff that went wrong. And she said, I was staying in these girls' room, and in the middle of the night we had a knock on the hotel room door, and it could have been anyone standing there. It could have been a black man. I swear to God, she said that.
Oh my God.
Well, they went to Bob Jones. What do you expect? Horribly racist institution.
As deemed by the Supreme Court of the United States.
Yeah, we flew our flags at half staff that day because Bob Jones University did, and so we had to follow suit. They would take us to Bob Jones field trips all the time, trying to urge everybody to go there because that was the premier Christian institution in the country.
Did David's sister go there? Becky?
I have no idea. Was that her name?
David Coulter's sister, maybe?
Oh, I thought you meant. Did she go there? No, I doubt it. I don't think so. I can't think of anybody who went there. I don't know. I can't think of anybody. All right. Well, we've reached the end somehow, fumbling our way forward. Anything to add?
Nope.
Do you ever have anything to add?
Nope.
Okay. All right. That's it. Thanks for listening. Bye bye.